In this lesson, we will learn how to use the pen tool to create different shapes, how to apply multiple colors to your objects using the gradient tool, and how to organize different objects on your artboard using the layers panel. So let's get started. So here we have the pen tool panel. So we can access the pen tool panel from the tools bar, and we also have the other tools along with the pen tool, the add anchor point tool, the delete anchor point tool, and also the anchor point tool. So we will create a simple heart shape with the pen tool, and there is a procedure to create using the pen tool, and whoever is familiar with Photoshop, they must have used the pen tool before. So first thing is we need to understand the logic of using the pen tool. So we need to first observe this heart shape. The heart shape has sharp corners and rounded corners, and the rule of a pen tool is wherever there are sharp corners we have to click, and wherever there are rounded corners we have to drag. So the entire shape will be created by clicking and dragging, and we have to end at the point where we have started. So first we need to check the sharp corners. So this is the sharp corners. Now we will click at the sharp corner, and then we will just drag near the rounded corner. So while dragging we need to just check the angle in which we are dragging, and we have to drag immediately, and we should not release our mouse till we complete our dragging. So once the dragging is completed, now we can release the mouse, and then here we have the sharp corner. So we need to just click, and then again for rounded corners we need to drag. So first we need to click, and then immediately without releasing the mouse we need to drag, and then we have to complete the shape by joining our current point with the starting point. So that's it. So we have created our heart shape, and let's fill color. So we can use simply a less than key to just apply the fill color, and then we will use the selection tool just to move the heart shape here. So this is the reference. I can just delete the reference, and then to adjust the points of this shape, once again we need to activate the pen tool, and then we can do two things here. We can either select the direct selection tool to select each individual point and adjust the point, or we can again switch back to the pen tool, and instead of using the direct selection tool again and again, we can simply hold Control in PC or Command in Mac, and then just click on the point and adjust these handles. So this is how we can create the shapes. We can create any shape using the pen tool. And the next thing is, if we want to add points or extra points, we can use this add anchor point tool. But instead of using the add anchor point tool from this pen tool panel, we can do one more thing. Currently the pen tool is active, so we can just move our mouse over these empty lines or over the path around this shape, so that automatically the pen tool turns into add anchor point tool, so that we can add an extra point, and then we can simply hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and then just move those points. And we can do the same thing on the other side of the shape. So this is how we can just modify the shapes. Right. We can also break a point. So what we mean by breaking a point? So here let's select one of the handles here, so we can see. So right now we can move these handles and change the shape on top as well as at the bottom. So the shape is changing on its top side as well as on its bottom side. But what if we want to change the shape only on one side? So we can break this handle. So to break the handle, we can hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and then simply drag this handle or point. So we can see we have just changed one side of the shape without affecting the other side. And we will do the same thing for the right side handle. So first we will hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and just click on that point, and then to break this handle we will hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and then just drag the handle. So here we have created a different shape. So this looks like a shield. And we can do one more thing. We can just hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and then just click on this point and then just move it like this. So this looks exactly like a shield. Right. So this is how we can create different shapes using pen tool. And we can also do one more thing. If we want to delete extra points, here we have the delete anchor point tool. But instead of selecting it directly from this pen tool panel, we can do one more thing. So we will first come back to the pen tool. We will simply hit P, and then we will just take our mouse over any particular point, and immediately we can see the pen tool turns into delete anchor point tool. And if we click on that point gets deleted, and we can see there is a change in the shape. And again, if we take our mouse over this line, the pen tool turns into add anchor point tool, and again we can add points. And then to move these points, again we can hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and then just click on that point and then just move those points. So this is how we can create any kind of shapes using the pen tool. So we have already seen these shapes: rectangle, ellipse, polygon and others. We will create an ellipse. So once we have created an ellipse, these shapes also contain points that we got when we were creating shapes using the pen tool. So we will activate the pen tool by hitting P, and once we have activated the pen tool, we can simply just hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and then just click on these points. So we can see here, and we can just modify them like we modify the shapes that we have created using the pen tool. And we can also do one more thing. So here we have another tool, that is anchor point tool. With this tool we can turn rounded corners into sharp corners and sharp corners into rounded corners. So here this is a rounded corner. If we use the anchor point tool and click on this point, so now this point turns into a sharp corner, and we can do the same thing for this bottommost point. So we can see now we have changed the shape. And if we hold Control in PC or Command in Mac, and we can just move any of these points, but first we will activate the pen tool by hitting P, and then we will just hold Control and just we can drag this particular point. We can also use the arrow keys. We can hold Shift and just use the down arrow to move this point downwards, and we can also do the same thing for the left point here. So we can see we have created a water drop like thing using the ellipse tool. And we can also add extra points. So we can just take our mouse over any of the empty regions of this shape, so that the pen tool will turn into add anchor point tool. So we can add extra points and modify the shape even further. And again, we can hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and then just click on that point, and then just we can modify just like this. And there is one more thing here. If we want to zoom into a particular region on the object, so we can do that by holding Alt in PC or Option in Mac, and then we can just use the middle mouse to zoom into a specific point or a specific region on the object. So this shortcut comes in handy for us. This shortcut is very much useful for us if we want to zoom into a specific region on the object. Right. And again, we can use this anchor point tool to turn the sharp corners into rounded corners. We can just use this anchor point tool, and then we can just drag that point to make it rounded again. So we can see we have again changed the shape. To duplicate an object, we simply need to just hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and then select the object and then just drag, and we can see we have created a duplicate. And then if we want more duplicates, and if we want to create duplicates with equal spacing, just we need to use the keyboard shortcut Control D in PC or Command D in Mac. So we can see here now we have created duplicates with equal spacing. We will also create duplicates vertically, but to create the first duplicate, we'll simply hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and then just drag. And then for the next duplicates, we will use the shortcut Control D in PC or Command D in Mac. So this is how we can create duplicates. Here is a polygon. Let's select the direct selection tool here, and let's select one of the points and simply let us delete. So when we delete, see, we can see we have changed the shape. And then if we just click on this point and then delete again, now we can see this looks like a different shape. But the one thing we need to observe is here we don't see any line running in between these 2 points. So we have to create that line. So for that, we have to select these 2 points just by drawing a selection around them. And now we will simply right click on these 2 points and we will select the option join. So we have connected these 2 points. Now this looks like a different shape, and we can just drag these circles to make the corners rounded. Right. And we can also if we want to, we can delete one of these points like this, and also like this. And again we can just select these 2 points and then we can right click and select join. So in this way we can change the shape of the objects. We will now create a path using pen tool. First, let's select the pen tool. We can hit P or we can select pen tool from this pen tools panel, and we need to turn off the fill. So we will simply use / and then we will just create a simple path. So this is a simple path, and once we have created the path, we are supposed to hit enter to complete the path. And if we want to just change the path, we can just hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and then just click on any of the points, and then we can just drag these handles and we can change the shape or change the look of the path. Right. Then we can do one more thing. We can just hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and then create a duplicate here. duplicate of the path, and we will again go back to the direct selection tool, and we will draw a selection around the last 2 points, and we will right click and select join, and we will do the same for the left side. So we can see here we have a closed shape, and now what we will be doing is we can simply use the less than key to fill color inside the shape, right? The gradient tool in Illustrator is used to apply multicolors to any of the objects. So here we have selected an ellipse, and to open the gradient tool we simply need to hit G, and here we can see the gradient tool is active. But if we want to see the gradient panel, we need to simply go to window menu, and we need to just select the gradient option over here to open the gradient panel. We can also use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl F9 or Command F9. So here is the gradient panel, and to apply gradient we can select any of the gradients on this gradient panel, or we can do one more thing. So below the toolbar we have used the less than key to apply plain color to the objects. We can just use the greater than key to apply gradient to the objects. So we can see here the gradient icon is currently active, right? So when the gradient is applied to the object, we can see a line at the center of this object. This line or this icon is called the annotator, the gradient annotator. We can use this annotator to position the gradient on the object. We can just move the annotator. We can also rotate the annotator. Just we need to move our mouse to the right corner of this annotator, and then we can see a rotate icon. This will rotate the gradient colors on the object, and we can create custom gradients. So we will just use the gradient panel here. We can pick any of the inbuilt gradients, and then if we just come down here, we can see a lot of sliders, gradient sliders. We can apply different colors to each slider. We simply need to select the slider and double click on it, and another panel opens up here, and we can just pick one color here. And if we want to delete that particular color, we can just drag the slider downwards. We can remove that color, and here we can keep just 2 colors, and we can change the colors. Just double click, and now we can see we have changed the colors, right? So now we have applied 2 different colors, green and blue, to this ellipse, and we can also change the colors using the annotator. So here we can see the sliders. We just need to double click on the slider, and then we can change the color. So we can see here, and we can also add extra sliders. Just we need to take our mouse over this line, over this empty line, and then click. So one more slider is added, and if we double click on the slider, we can just apply a color to the side, to that slider. That's it. So we can see here, and if we just click on the slider and drag downwards, we can remove the slider. And also there is an option to change the gradient to radial gradient. Currently the linear gradient is active. Linear means the gradient appears in one straight line, either diagonally or vertically or horizontally. But if we want a radial gradient, we can just change the gradient type to radial gradient. So now we can see we have a radial gradient, and we can also click on this reverse gradient so that the green color appears at the corners and the yellow color appears at the center. So we can change the position of the gradient or the colors of the gradient using this annotator as well as from the gradient panel, right? And to hide the gradient annotator, we can just go to the view menu, and here we have the option hide gradient annotator, but I don't recommend hiding this annotator because we will be using this annotator a lot to adjust the gradients. And again, if we accidentally hide the gradient annotator, we can always get it back by just going to the view menu and then selecting show gradient annotator. That's it. So in this way we can use the gradient panel as well as the annotator to apply multi-colors to any kind of objects. The most common task that we'll be performing in Illustrator is the arrangement of objects. We can simply right click on the objects, and here we have the option arrange. Here we have options bring to front, bring forward, send backward, send to back. So let's see these options first. So here we have the rectangle behind all these objects. If we want to bring the rectangle in front of all other objects, we will simply select the rectangle, right click, and then here we have the option arrange, and we will simply click on the option bring to front. We can also use the keyboard shortcut Shift Ctrl J or Shift Command J. So we can see here, and we can also send the object behind all the objects. Again, let's select this star. Let's send this star behind all the objects. So we will simply right click on the star, and here we have the option arrange, and we will select send to back. So now the star is behind all the objects. And if we want to move the object in front of the other objects, so we can do one thing. Here we have the rounded rectangle, and we will right click on the rounded rectangle, and here we have the option arrange, and here we have the option bring forward. So this bring forward option will bring the object in front of another object that is currently in front of it. So again, if we right click on this rounded rectangle and go to arrange, and we will select the bring forward, now this rounded rectangle is again in front of another object. And if we do this one more time, now this rounded rectangle is in front of all other objects. And we can also do the opposite. Let's select this rectangle, and we will right click arrange, and we can just say send backward. So it will go behind a single object. And if we select this ellipse and right click on it, and if we select arrange and send backward, it will go behind the star. So this is one way of arranging the objects, but there is a better way to organize or arrange the position of the objects. So that is using the layers panel. So here is the layers panel. I have saved this layers panel in my workspace, but if we can't see the layers panel inside our workspace, we can always go to window menu, and from Windows menu we can just open the layers panel. We can also use the keyboard shortcut F7, right? So we can just drag this layers panel and make it into a floating panel. We will just check the options inside this layers panel. So here we have the layer 1 and the layer 2. All the objects are currently inside layer 1, and if we collapse the layer 1, we can see all the objects, and we can select each and every object by clicking on the white circle to the right side of that object. So for example, if we want to select this red color rectangle, we just need to just click on the white circle to the right of the rectangle inside the layer panel. So now our rectangle is selected, and we can do the same thing for ellipse. We can just click on this white circle to the right side of the ellipse, and the ellipse will be selected. And if you want all the objects inside layer 1 to be selected, we simply need to select the layer 1, and to the right corner of the layer 1 we can see a circle, and if we click on the circle, all the objects inside this layer 1 are selected. This is a very easy way of selecting all the objects, right? And if we want to create a new layer, below this layers panel we have the option to create a new layer, and here is the layer, and we can also rename the layer. So let us say some objects, right? Currently this some objects layer is empty. There are no objects inside this layer. So if we want to put some objects inside this layer, we need to get those objects from layer 1, because all the objects are inside this layer 1. So let us say if we want to move the star inside this some objects layer, we need to select the star layer from inside the layer 1, and we will drag it and drop it on this some objects layer. That's it. Now the star is inside this some objects layer. And in the same way, in layer 2 there are no objects, so let's select this rectangle, and we will drag it and drop it inside or drop it over layer 2. So the rectangle will be now inside the layer 2, and we can collapse these layers. And then if we want to shuffle the order of the layers, currently this rectangle is on top of all the objects, but let us say I want the rectangle to be behind all the objects. We can't use this right click arrange option right now, because currently the rectangle is inside the topmost layer, and the topmost layer is layer 2. And if we want the layer 2 to be below layer 1, we will have to drag it. So we'll select the layer 2 and drag it below layer 1. Now we can see the object inside the layer 2, which is the rectangle, is behind all the objects, right? And the next thing is we can also lock the layers, and here is an empty box here. If we just click inside this empty box, we can lock all the objects inside layer 1, and we can't move any of the objects. So for example, I can't select this ellipse. This is locked now. So if I want to unlock it, I have to just click on this lock icon, and now I can move it. And also I can lock individual objects inside a particular layer. Here inside this layer 1 we have individual objects like polygon, rectangle and ellipse, and if I want to lock the polygon, so here is the polygon, I can just lock that particular polygon here. See, now this polygon is locked. I can't select it or I can't move it, right? Again, let's unlock it. And we can also hide some of the objects inside a layer or all the objects inside the layer. So if you want to hide some individual objects, here to the left we have this eye symbol to hide the objects. So we can hide any number of objects, so like this. And we can again click on the eye symbol to bring back all the objects. And if we want to hide all the objects inside layer 1, we can just click on this eye symbol to the left of the layer 1. That's it. So this is all about layers. We have a lot of work with the layers in the upcoming classes. So with all the knowledge that we have acquired in this class, let's do something productive. Let's import an image of a cute puppy. So we'll go to file, and here we have the option place. We can also use the keyboard shortcut shift control P or shift command P, and then we will just select this puppy image. So we will create this puppy using the pen tool and also the other shape tools, and here we will also see how we can organize the objects in different layers using the layers panel, and in the end we will also apply some colors to this puppy. Right, so now let's begin. So we will start with the pen tool. One thing we need to observe here is this puppy is symmetrical, means we don't have to design the left side as well as the right side. It's enough if we design only the one side of the puppy. Right, so here is the reference. So what we'll be doing is we will select this reference. We will reduce its opacity here so that we can see the path of the pen tool clearly, and we will rename this layer 1 as a reference layer. Right, now we will create a new layer and we will lock the reference layer, and we will start drawing this puppy in the new layer. Right, so first thing, we will start with the ears. So we will activate the pen tool, and one thing we should remember is we will activate the stroke. We don't want the fill, we will activate the stroke. So we can hit X, and we can just hit less than. Right now we have stroke active, but we will also turn off the fill. We will activate the fill, and then we will hit /. Right, so now the fill is off, the stroke is on, and let's begin. So here we will start with the ear. So we need to understand that there is a curvature here. So what we'll be doing is I will just create a point a little bit away from the first point, little bit far away from the first point, and I will drag. So we can see, so I am dragging, and the next thing we'll be doing is, see, the bottommost point is a bit long. We have to shorten it. So to shorten it, we need to hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac, and then we will shorten the bottommost point, or we can shorten this handle. Right, now we will continue creating the shape of the ear. So we will again create a curvature here, that's it, and then we will again come back to this corner, or will come to this corner, and then we will drag, and we need to just check the reference while dragging. Our path should align to the reference, and once again we need to shorten the right side handle. So we will hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac, and then we will shorten the handle. Right, and we will continue drawing the puppy, and remember, we are drawing this puppy with a limited number of points. We are not creating too many points. So see here, and again we need to shorten the topmost handle. So we will again hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and shorten the handle here, and then we will just again create one more here, and then finally we will just connect the point to the first point. That's it. So here we have created the ear properly, and we can fine tune this path. We will simply hold Control in PC or Command in Mac, and then just we can properly reshape the ear. So we need to be careful here, we should not drag too much. Right, so we got the ear, and we can simply hide the reference layer. So we can see here, and if we just select the selection tool here, we can see this ear. But one thing we need to remember is this path is a uniform path. Here we can see the option is uniform. We can just increase the size of the stroke, and we can make it thick. Now we have a uniform path. But for cartoons, for cartoon like drawings and sketches, we don't want a uniform path. We will select a different type of path here. Here we have width profile 1 2 3 like this, and we will try to select this width profile 5. So we can see here, and I think we will select this width profile 1. This will be better, and we can increase the stroke size. Right, so here we got the ear, and again we will activate the reference, and then we will do one more thing here. We can actually lock this path, because we might accidentally move the path and disturb the sketch actually. Right, so then we will continue creating more paths here, and we will do one more thing. We will select one more layer, and we will start creating the face, the boundary of the face. So again we will select the pen tool, and we will start at this point, and then we will we'll do one more thing actually. We will hide the bottom layer. Right, so we will start at this point. So we'll just select this point, and we will continue tracing the puppy, and again we will hold Alt and PC and Option in Mac, and then we will just make the bottommost handle a little bit short, and then we will again trace something like this, and then here we will just trace again. Right, so then here is the tricky part. So we can just hit backspace. Oh sorry, we will just need to continue here, and we will just create a path here, and that's it, and we will hit enter. That's it. So we have created the face, and now we will adjust the points, the corners. Right, so we have adjusted the corners, and the thing we need to do next is we will slightly move these points. Right, and again we will hide the reference. So this is the face, and this time again we will increase the stroke width. Right, and then we will also change the stroke to width profile 1. So something like this. Right, so here we got the ear as well as the face. Now we have to again trace the mouth and everything else. Right, so now the next thing is we have to create the mouth. So again for mouth we will take one more layer. First we will rename these layers. Here I have renamed the ear layer, and we will rename it as the face, and then we will take one more layer, and we will lock both the face and the ears layers, and then we will start with the mouth. right? So we can rename it as mouth, right? So then we will select the pen tool. Here we will just create the mouth. So we can just again do the same thing, hold Alt and then just create a point here. That's it, right? And again we will just hide the reference layer, and we can just use the width profile as the width profile 5. So we can see here, right? Then let's activate the reference layer, right? So the next thing is we will complete the shape. Here we have the tongue as well as the nose, right? So we will do one thing, we will create a nose. So we just create a layer for the nose. For nose we will do one thing, we will use the ellipse tool. So we can use the ellipse, and we can just use the direct selection tool, or we can simply hold Control or Command in Mac. We can just adjust it, right? Then the next thing is let's create this particular arc shape here, the mouth. And for this we can use this pen tool. Actually here we have a pen tool, the curvature pen tool. So we can just create the 2 points, and then we can just simply drag from the middle to create an arc shape like this. We can hit enter or escape, that's it. And we can do the same thing for the tongue. But the thing we need to remember is we need to disable it, right, by selecting some other tool. And let's select the curvature pen tool here. So something like this, right? And we can hit escape to deactivate it, right? And we can also just use a normal pen tool to create a line from the center, right? So something like this. Then again we will just hide the layers, bottom layers, or we can hide the reference layer here. You don't have to hide the bottom layers, so we can see. And we can do one thing, we can fill this shape with a black color. We can simply change the stroke to fill. So we can just use the keyboard shortcut Shift X, that's it, right? And we will just select these lines, and we can change the width profile to width profile 5, and we can increase the stroke size, right? And we can do the same thing here, right? So we are slowly completing the puppy, right? So the next thing is we will finish off the puppy, the eyes we will be creating. We will take a layer, a fresh layer for the eyes. We will rename it as eyes, and we will just use the ellipse tool for eyes. So we can use the direct selection tool to just modify the shape. So we can just add some points. So we can use this add anchor point tool, or we can just activate the pen tool, and then we can simply add points, and then we can hold Control in PC or Command in Mac, and then just adjust the path according to the reference. That's it. We can add one more point here, and then we can just hold Control and or Command, and then just drag. That's it. So we are almost completing the eyes, and for the inner eyes we can just use an ellipse. We can just create an ellipse here. We can just change the stroke to fill. Right. Then we will complete this eyebrows. So we will just use the pen tool here. So we can just create that eyebrows. That's it. And if you want the eyebrows to be only strokes, we can change the fill to stroke. Just we have few things left, so we will just complete the puppy. Here we have a line. We can just create the line here. Right. We can adjust the points. We can also use the curvature pen tool for creating this line. Right. And here we have one more line. We will complete this line here, and we will use the curvature pen tool for this line. And we can hit escape once we are done, and we will try to adjust it properly. Right. Now we will just use the width profile 1 for these lines. We will shorten the stroke width, and for this one also we will use the width profile 1 for the stroke, and we can just align it properly. We don't have to match the reference, that's okay. Right. So we have created, and just a few more things are there. We need to just create the highlight for the nose, and we can just give it a pure white color. We will just double click on the color swatch, the fill color swatch, and then we will also turn off the stroke here, and we can just place it over here or the center. It's all right. Then we can also create one more for the eyes, so something like this. We can squish it a little bit. Right. So we got the one side of the puppy, and one final things we will be doing, we will try to just increase the stroke width of the border of the eyes, and also we will change the width profile here. Right. So once all these things are done, now we will create the other side of all the things that are on the left side. So the puppy is symmetrical, so what we'll be doing is, see, this time we will be using a reflect tool. So this reflect tool will create copies on the other side. But the thing we'll be doing here is, see, we can see there is a overlap happening on the eyes, on the ears. So we will remove it, we'll do it later. Okay, first thing is we will select this line, the boundary line of the face, and here we have the reflect tool. This is the reflect tool, the keyboard shortcut is O, and once we have activated the reflect tool, we can see the center point here. It's in a blue color. We can simply hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac, and then we can just place the center point on the topmost point, and then release the mouse. Once we release the mouse, here we can see a reflect dialog appears, and we will select the option copy. So we got the right side of the line, and this line is not joined to the first line, so we can just see whether this line is joined or not. So if we see this line is not joined, so we can just select the points of both the left line and the right line, and we can simply right click and select this option join. So we can see here we have joined, and here also we need to join these 2 points, and we can just select join. But I think here there is an overlap happening here, so we can see there is an overlap. So we can just select these 2 points, and then we can right click and select join. So here we have but the problem is we don't want to disturb the shapes. So we can see here there is an overlap, so we cannot join these shapes because there is an overlap. So we will do one thing, we can just add a point here, and then we will delete the first point, and also we will do the same thing here. We will delete. Now we will try to join both these points. So we'll just draw a selection, and then we will right click and select join. Now the points are joined, so we can see here, right. And we can do one thing, we can try this width profile 5 for this, right. And then we will try to duplicate the other sections as well. We will again select the reflect tool. We will just hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac, and then just put the center point on top of the mouth point, and create a copy here. That's it. And we will just adjust the point properly, right. And let's do the same thing for this line. So again we will use the reflect tool, just change the center point, and just click on copy. That's it. And we will do the same thing for the tongue. We'll use the reflect tool, change the center point by holding Alt in PC or Option in Mac, and then just click on copy. But here we have an issue here. See, the points are not joining properly here. So we will simply select the 2 points of these 2 parts, and we will right click and select join. Now this looks nice, and we can also change the width profile for this. Right, now this looks fine. And then we will select this line, we will again select the reflect tool. We'll change the center point. We can change the center point over here, and then we can just click on copy. That's it. And then we will just finish off everything. That's it. So we are only left with eyes. So we can do one thing. We can actually group these eye parts. So we can just select all the pieces of eyes, and then we can group them using Ctrl G or Command G, and then we will select the reflect tool, and we will keep the point at the center, and then we will just release the mouse. That's it. We got a copy. The only thing is we will align the copy properly. Right. Then we will just duplicate the eyebrow. Again, we will use the reflect tool. We will just change the center point. We can keep it over here, and we will just hit copy. That's it. And now we are left with this ear. So we need to check why we are not able to select the ear. Okay, it's locked actually. So now we will select the ear, but we will also remove this overlap. We'll do something about it. So we can just select the reflect tool again, and we can just place it over here and then create the copy. That's it. So here we have created the puppy, and we will only remove these overlaps. So to remove the overlaps, we will just use the add anchor point tool, and here we will just create a point, and we can delete this point actually, and we can also delete this point. That's it. And we can just adjust. We can create a point, a line, by using the pen tool, and then we can just select, and then we can just click. That's it. And we'll do the same thing on the left side. That's it. And here also there is an overlap. We will try to adjust the overlaps here. So we will just create a point on this ear, and then we will try to adjust the point. We will select the ear here. So we will just create a point, and then we will just move the point, and we can also create one more point over here and move the point and align properly. And we can also do the same thing. We can just select the path on the right side here. We will create an extra point here, and then we will just select the point and then align these points properly to the border of the face. So some things like this. That's it. So one last thing is, let's just move this left or right eyebrow a little bit inside. This looks a little bit far away actually. Right. So here we have created a cute puppy using pen tool and other shape tools. This lesson will improve your drawing skills, illustration skills, and these tools will build your foundation for mastering Adobe Illustrator. Stay tuned.